Aloha, my name is Terri Keko'olani, and I'd first like to thank Imi Pono and particularly Arnie Saiki for organizing this event today. It's very ambitious, but we do thank him for bringing us all together. And it's always a privilege to be among our people who have fought so long and hard over these many, many years. Solely recognized a few people. There's others that I would like to recognize as well. And that's Tani Inseong, who's here. He's a very long time activist. Uncle Richard Kinney, he's also here. Uncle George Flores. And Rick Ortiz from Waimea, he's here as well. Tootie Baker, I see her here. These are all people that have been, and Gwen Kim, I see Gwen as well. Gwen was involved in the early stages of the resistance in Kalama Valley as well. Well, she was there, okay. All right, excuse Kalamai, yeah, okay. Anyway, I'm gonna talk a little bit about some of the things that I've experienced and seen in my own political activity throughout the years. And basically, I was asked to speak specifically about the 70s, and this would be going into the 70s, into the 80s. There are a couple of, I think, significant developments in our history during that period of time. One, I think, that was very important, of course, were the various land struggles that were going on, and there were many. And these were not only land struggles to protect, lands, but it was also to protect the people who were being evicted from their traditional homes. Of course, Kalama Valley was probably one of the most important ones because, excuse Kalamai, but it was very important because it actually brought a lot of young people together to talk about the history of our people, and also to deal with the fact that our people who were, like in that case, were actually people who were fishermen. They had fishermen villages and so forth. The question was, why were these people being evicted? So I think that the land struggles that were taking place, there was Sand Island, that was at Mokoea, that was a very important one, and again, fishermen who were being evicted. Waihole Waikani was a very big one. And H3, a lot of activists cut their teeth actually in fighting against H3. H3 was one of the most expensive highways in the United States, linking Pearl Harbor to the Kaneohe Marine Corps Air Station. There were a lot of sacred sites in its path, and so our people were fighting that. I think the thing about the land struggles that were really important for me is that the time that we were actually organizing, we were organizing on campus, and I was involved in the establishment of the Ethnic Studies program. And one of the things that was so important about the Ethnic Studies program is that many of the people who were involved were people who were actually very influenced by the time period. They were influenced by the black movement, Malcolm X, Eldridge Cleaver, and so forth, all of these very important leaders. They were influenced by the Young Lords Party, which is a Puerto Rican movement in New York. And these were all people coming from people-related struggles in communities that were seeing that their people were not being served. There were also people in ethnic studies who were involved in other struggles, like one I have in mind is Kay Hao Lee. When I first met Kay Hao Lee, she was a teacher in the Hawaiians course. The very first time I met her, she was walking towards, she had a big fro, and I'm going, where did that come from, Well, it was Black Power, right? But what she had just come from was staying, I think, for about 6 months in Cuba. And she was there as part of the Venceremos Brigade and was very much learning about the history and struggles of the Cuban people against the takeover by the United States. So she was really, really very, very, I think, critical in bringing political analysis to the ethnic studies struggle. Another one was Pete Thompson. Pete Thompson was actually a Kalihi boy from Fort Street Road, Camford Road rather, who was Kamehameha grad, but he was a real intellectual and academic. And one thing I think that he really brought to our ethnic studies program was analysis coming from a working class point of view and looking at the history of our people from a different lens. A lot of us were faced with having history at the UH in the 1970s that were written by white people, you know. And so our whole thing was to re-examine that history and to actually begin to go back into our communities and listen to the history of our people from their own experiences. And thus we had a slogan, "Our History, Our Way." And our people, during that time, students and teachers are beginning to flesh out that history, whether it be out into the kahalu'u and talking to the kupuna about you know, their taro cultivation and being faced with evictions from planned development, or whether it be talking to families that lived on plantations and talking about the oppression as they grew up. All of these things were beginning to you know, be discussed and talked about in ethnic studies. So in ethnic studies, we're examining the racism, we're beginning to rewrite history, but I think the most important thing that we did was we actually went out into the community as students and actually served our people. And I hope that, if anything I say, this is going to be something that you'll remember. To serve your people is really, really important. And it means that you have to go and ask them. You actually have to go out in the community and talk to them and learn from them, because it is really our people who have so much ike and knowledge, yeah? And they also have, once you begin to understand them, they have a whole history of learning how to survive, and also they also have their opinions about what is going on. So Waiholi Waikani, I think, was a really good case of ethnic studies and students and teachers going out into the community and not only helping the people who are farmers and struggling to maintain their farms, but also learning how to learn from the people, yeah. Sometimes there's a real delicate balance between going in as people have, you know, academic knowledge and then actually letting people lead themselves. I think that's one of the things that we really learned from the ethnic studies struggle.